Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Esperanza Espino. Welcome to this new webinar in our observatory. On this occasion, we are going to discuss about violence prevention in schools, considering scientific contributions. And for this, we are fortunate to have today the participation of Dr. da Costa Ferreira and Dr. Romera, whom I'm going to introduce now. Paula da Costa Ferreira holds a PhD in educational psychology, coordinates the cyberbullying studies program, and is a board member of the Research Center for Psychological Science Pro-Adapt Research Group of the Faculty of Psychology of the University of Lisbon. Her research focuses on cyberbullying, pro-social behavior, and digital interactions using serious games and EA. She has led and collaborated on several national interventions projects, developed educational tools for schools, and published extensively in peer-reviewed journals. Her work bridges psychology, education, and technology to promote safer, emotionally aware digital environments for youth. Dr. Eva Romera is a professor in the Department of Psychology at the University of Córdoba, Spain, and she is a member of the Laboratory for the Study of Convivencia and School Violence Prevention, and a committee member of the International Observatory of School Climate and Violence Prevention, our observatory. Her research focuses on social and moral competence, motivation, and peer group dynamics, particularly in relation to school violence, including bullying and cyberbullying. She leads several national and European research projects. Her work aims to support the educational community and enhance social well-being. In addition, we inform you that the simultaneous translation is available now in our Teams, so you can click on the button at the screen if you wish. You can check the three circles at the bottom of the screen on Priscilla Oshi's channels. So we will test today that the interpretation today is correct, so you can change into English to Spanish or vice versa. You can change when you want. So for my part, that's all. Remember that you will have time to make comments and ask questions, and we encourage you to do so. So Dr. da Costa Ferreira and Dr. Romera, I give you the floor. So thank you very much.
Muchas gracias a la organización del observatorio por la oportunidad de compartir en un nuevo webinar aspectos relacionados pues, con la mejora, con la prevención de la violencia y la mejora de la convivencia y el clima escolar que nos permitan seguir debatiendo, profundizando, recoger los avances de investigación. Y en este caso hemos diseñado un webinar junto con la profesora Paula Ferreira, a quien agradezco, ¿no?, su colaboración y su participación en esta sesión para poder reflexionar y traer a debate aspectos que están relacionados sobre la transferencia del conocimiento o de la transferencia de los resultados de investigación a las prácticas de formación del profesorado, ¿no?, para encontrar claves, sobre todo identificar dificultades, aspectos positivos que están permitiendo la eficacia de los programas y hacia dónde dirigir la mirada en los siguientes pasos, ¿no? Hemos diseñado una sesión que nos gustaría hacerla interactiva, en el que pues la profesora Paula Ferreira y en mi caso pues, discutamos o argumentemos sobre aspectos que nos parecen claros sobre 6 topics o 6 dimensiones clave que hemos querido registrar, que están relacionadas con por una parte, lo que significa la transferencia en la formación del profesorado, bien para la puesta en práctica por ellos mismos o por agentes externos. También analizar cuáles son pues las oportunidades de implementación y los retos de práctica, o sea, en la implementación de los programas. También tener en cuenta aquellas variables del profesorado que nos ayudan a comprender la efectividad o no de esa puesta en práctica de programas de prevención, su propia formación conectada a la digitalización de los propios programas de formación del profesorado, también analizar aspectos relacionados con la co-creación de programas y finalmente, pues cómo además identificar que el profesorado se convierte en un modelo de transferencia dentro de las aulas. en ese modelo. Bueno, pues os presentamos. Si, Paula, por favor, ¿podrías compartir la presentación?
Just a minute. Share. Okay, can you all see? Yes, can you see? Yes, we can see now. Yeah.
Yeah. Sí, sí, sí.
Okay. Okay, so well, I would like to thank you very much for inviting me, specifically the International Observatory of School Climate and Violence Prevention. I'm very honored to be speaking here today, along with my colleague, my esteemed colleague, Dr. Eva Romera. And this is, in fact, a theme which really occupies our minds and our research, the violence prevention in schools and how we can make the transfer of knowledge more practical and easier from professionals to all of those who are involved in incidents of violence. And so I will press on to the first slide. I'm sorry, just can you see it well like that? I hope it can. So basically, Eva, do you want me to start off, or do you want to start off here?
Yeah, what you prefer, but in this first point, perdón, en este primer punto, lo que nos gustaría, bueno, pues traer a debate, ¿no? Es cómo la transferencia se convierte en un objetivo clave en nuestra labor de investigación para incorporarlo además a los programas de formación del profesorado y lo que planteamos también como retos a tener en cuenta es que a veces estos programas de formación son excesivamente a lo mejor teóricos o descontextualizados de la realidad que se están viviendo en las escuelas concretas y eso está dificultando también las propias posibilidades de transferencia, ¿no? Y cómo poner, sobre todo cuando hacemos el diseño de los programas, las dificultades encontradas de cómo ponerlos en práctica en el día a día, ajustado a los contextos concretos en los que se están desarrollando y es uno de los aspectos que tenemos encima de la mesa, ¿no?
Yes, I think that the transfer of knowledge and skills and attitudes is a key point in teacher training programs because it's not just about showing others what you know, it's about being models and effectively transmitting through practical ways, hands-on, the information, the know-how, the strategies, all that you have learned, and pass it on to someone else through experience and through effective training. And so this requires quite a bit of practice. And so it must have many practical activities such as role playing, classroom simulations, in other words, things that are close to the context in which teachers work. And by doing that, we believe that teachers will be more motivated to participate, interested in how to acquire skills, knowledge, and attitudes, adaptive attitudes towards violence prevention within the school environment. And we also
are in agreement that in-service mentorships work really well. And you have someone with more experience who passes on their knowledge, their living experience to someone else by showing them real cases, for example, sometimes fictional situations which are inspired in real situations. And this can effectively sensitize professionals, teachers, to the topic of violence prevention. We also believe that NGOs and experts can join this transfer of knowledge with all of those involved, the stakeholders involved, to get teachers to effectively collaborate in accept this type of teacher training. And one thing that we feel that is very important in these trainings is that teachers receive this type of training, but then they need to be followed up on, and something has to happen afterwards to make sure that those who accept this type of teacher training programs will effectively engage in the type of practice which was transferred to them. And so it's fundamental that what is transferred maintains itself throughout the career, the teaching practices throughout time. I don't know, Eva, do you want to say something about this?
Sí, en esta línea identificamos cómo es clave promover una cultura de transferencia que incluya, por una parte, responsabilidades, actividades que estén estructuradas para facilitar esa transferencia, un tiempo además que se pueda dedicar al aprendizaje y nos permita ser más efectivos en lo que significa el diseño de los programas. Uno de los aspectos también que nos gustaría comentar es con respecto a si vienen siendo más efectivos los programas que son desarrollados por agentes externos o que se realizan dentro del propio centro, de iniciativas del propio centro escolar, ¿no? Los resultados no terminan de ser concluyentes. Lo que sí es cierto es que se observa cómo cuando se trabaja dentro del propio centro, las experiencias al final son más duraderas y los resultados, pues bueno, pues son mucho más contextualizados que si lo que se pone en práctica son programas a lo mejor diseñados o trabajados y propuestos y desempeñados por agentes externos, ¿no?
So here, does anyone else want to comment? These ideas that we've been mentioning, is that how this works in terms of dynamics, or do I move on to the next slide, to the next idea, or does anyone have any questions regarding these ideas?
It's better if you present all of the main points, and after that we can discuss all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is one of the main points, transferring teacher training programs or external agent programs. So if anyone has any suggestions or ideas or any brainstorming that has been going on this issue, feel free to comment. Do you agree that more contextualized? Yes.
Probably, if you don't mind, we can do it at the end.
Oh, at the end,
and
okay.
we can continue, okay? And we will open different topics and questions that we could comment. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the second topic is implementation challenges of school violence prevention programs. And there are a lot of challenges. And here are just a few that we present. It's not easy at all to implement this type of program because usually it is worthwhile having a whole school approach or a whole community approach to this type of program and the implementation of these programs. And so we have, for example, insufficient times and resources. So, for example, how do we get professionals such as teachers and even students to collaborate and to participate in this type of programs? Many of them often say that they don't have time to be involved in this type of program because they are already full of work and they have a million tasks to do. And in terms of the students, they need to study and they need to acquire knowledge, academic knowledge. So, and often this is what is praised and valued in many academic organizations, many schools. And so rather than focusing on soft skills, which are really transversal and transferable to all of the academic areas, really, schools prioritize harder skills, academic achievement, academic knowledge, and then also in terms of resources, who gives these programs? I mean, who's going to be allocated as an instructor to these programs, and who are teachers willing to have as an instructor in these schools? And are they credible? Are they viewed as credible? Or are they someone from the outside who is simply coming into their school to occupy time and space rather than focusing on academic success? But the truth is that if children and youth are not also focused on how to develop their own social emotional learning and the prevention of violence, and if there's a climate of violence within the school, within the classroom, then attention regulation is very difficult to be obtained within the different academic areas within classes, because if emotions are not regulated, for example, then there is an impact, there is a grave impact and consequence for students. And so the academic success ends up not being successful because there is no success if someone is not socially and emotionally well in these learning environments. And so what we can often do is try to allocate this type of program to a specific discipline or subject area in where this can be worked, violence prevention. And resources are usually the researchers that often go to schools and implement these. Eva, I don't know if you want to continue or if I
Sí.
continue.
No, estoy de acuerdo con lo que plantea Paula y sobre cómo hay retos que continuamente cuando vamos a las escuelas para trabajar o cuando hablamos también con los responsables de la escuela nos plantean sobre, bueno, pues limitaciones o aspectos que estamos viendo pues que reducen, ¿no?, el nivel de efectividad o dificultades con las que nos encontramos, y siempre, bueno, la alusión a esa falta de tiempo, de recursos, falta de formación, a veces incluso la propia incongruencia cultural, como señalaba. Y ya estamos viendo también cómo en los análisis que se hacen sobre las efectividades de los distintos programas, vemos cómo a veces muchas intervenciones y programas muy fragmentados o demasiados programas puestos en práctica dentro de los centros escolares realmente no está llevando a mejores resultados. Cómo también es importante trabajar una mayor, bueno, pues prácticas escolares que estén claras, donde haya una estructura también normativa y administrativa que pueda facilitar la ejecución del programa, porque a veces dice, muy bien, estoy de acuerdo con los objetivos, queremos hacerlo, ¿no? Ahora hablaremos sobre otras variables asociadas a ello, pero la puesta en práctica se hace muy difícil en términos de recursos, en términos de apoyo administrativo, en términos de tiempo, ¿no? Y realmente si no encontramos con si no nos encontramos con esa estructura clara que nos facilite la puesta en práctica de este tipo de programas, de propuestas para la promoción del aprendizaje socioemocional, como comentaba Paula, para otro tipo de programas dirigidos a prevenir la violencia, pues estamos viendo que realmente se llega menos, ¿no? La efectividad de este tipo de programas es menor, ¿no? Y también lo que nos encontramos también en las distintas revisiones o el análisis de estos efectos es que debemos construir expectativas realistas a lo que son, bueno, pues las propuestas de mejora, los aspectos que se esperan conseguir con la puesta en práctica de esos programas, porque a veces cuando no se ajusta a la realidad del contexto, que va un poco asociado con las ideas que comentaba también, que hemos comentado, pues nos hace perder a veces el entusiasmo, el compromiso, la propia disposición a continuar con este tipo de diseño y de propuestas.
And can I just conclude that idea? I believe that this lack of training and the failure to actually have implemented programs that are culturally based and they fit within the contextual dynamics of this climate can often lead to skepticism on the professional's behalf. So, and also many times on the child's behalf or the youth's behalf. And that's why leadership, school leadership is so important to back up such programs so that there is some sort of credibility that is given to research teams and program teams that actually implement these. And so we will speak a little bit more about how these programs can be created so that there is not as much skepticism due to also the lack of training that many teachers have. Actually, most courses, at least here in Portugal, people have their course in math, science, languages, but they don't have actually like a course on social emotional learning or the soft skills that need to actually be developed in their students along with what they are studying in terms of academic knowledge and how they can actually self-regulate themselves within the classroom. And so training is definitely a priority here for teachers because they are also models for children and youth.
Yeah.
Eva, can I continue?
Yes,
Pass on to
for
the
the
next
third point. Yeah.
you. Okay, do you want to start or do you want me to
Yeah,
start?
Okay. We know also that algunas características asociadas al propio profesorado están siendo también claves para evaluar la efectividad de los programas, ¿no? Y la calidad también de la puesta en práctica de esos resultados. de investigación, sabemos sobre todo en las distintas revisiones en las recientes revisiones que estamos encontrando, pues que aspectos relacionados como, por ejemplo, la propia motivación para poner en práctica en este tipo de objetivos, ¿no? Pero sobre todo la percepción de que no solamente me siento eficaz, ¿no? Para poner en práctica este tipo de programas, sino que además eh, una percepción de autoeficacia colectiva está resultando también determinante para poner en práctica programas de prevención de violencia. Aspectos como la propia actitud hacia el bullying, el no identificar o el que el profesorado vea que es algo importante sobre lo que tenemos que trabajar, también es una variable que está siendo identificada como relevante. Las propias experiencias, incluso que se han tenido previamente con respecto al fenómeno, en este caso, por ejemplo, del acoso y el ciberacoso, y la propia resiliencia emocional para afrontar las distintas situaciones que tenemos ante las distintas realidades educativas, ¿no? Todo ello se están identificando como variables que son claves a las que tenemos que también prestar atención para poner en práctica de una forma efectiva los diferentes programas.
Yes, definitely. And I think that all of these variables are interconnected and they all go towards moral engagement of professionals within or concerning school violence. It is so important to have these professionals believe that they can actually interfere or they can actually intervene in a pro-social way, and they're motivated to do so through the belief that non-pro-social behavior must be, or violence in schools must be stopped, and that this is a major concern within academic or learning environments. And this all leads to how we can morally engage teachers and empower them through emotional resilience, and also by acquiring more experience and skills. So just to finish up your idea, Eva, can I pass?
Sí,
Yes.
solo me gustaría añadir una idea, y es verdad como cuando se percibe que la puesta en práctica de este tipo de programas se asume como una responsabilidad individual, se ha demostrado como realmente tiene menor eficacia, hace que los programas tengan menor eficacia, porque intentar ponerlo en práctica asumiendo la responsabilidad individual, ya sabemos pues que es algo que no es clave o no resulta clave para su puesta en práctica. Puedes pasar.
Yes, yes. And just to finish an idea now that just came to my head. We did a study a few years ago in which we inquired students if they were victims of cyberbullying or if they participated as observers. Who would they tell first? Who would they tell? And they said that firstly they would tell friends, and then they would tell their parents, and lastly they would tell their teachers, because they actually thought that their teachers would not be able to solve the problem. However, we constructed a statistical model that concluded that only when children believed or told their teacher first did the children end up with a more pro-social outlook on their own school. Did they actually see their school environment as a safe place to learn, something that was more positive? So that was very interesting because of the teacher's role, how important their role is. Okay, then we also have another idea of connecting digital literacy with teacher training. It's so important that teachers are up to date with what is being used constantly by students, whether it is in the school or outside the school, and everybody nowadays is using technology. So digital literacy is fundamental nowadays for any school teacher. And mind you that we've seen some literature say that some teachers don't think they can actually intervene, for example, in cyberbullying, because they don't know how to manage certain digital platforms, or they are unaware of how to do so. So it's vital that training also connects digital literacy with pro-social skills and modeling. And so digital literacy, you can't really disconnect it from education currently. It's so involved in everything that we do. Right now, we are using digital resources to do this webinar. So it's just an example of how digital literacy is fundamental to transfer knowledge from someone to other people. And when we're talking about children, they really like to use digital resources. So if these are included in teacher training, so that teachers are fluent in digital literacy and know how to use different programs, different apps, different social media, then children may start believing a bit more in teacher skills to actually touch and resolve these situations. For example, training can start by including online modules where teachers can learn when they can, wherever they can, and have a part where they can just take some input on some knowledge about violence prevention in schools. And this right there is something that can facilitate part of knowledge transfer. Also, specific training should address how to go through the various phases of bystander intervention, for example. Knowing what cyberbullying is, for example, how to interpret it. First of all, how to recognize it, how to interpret it, how to decide whether or not to intervene and how to intervene, and then actually to intervene. This is actually the bystander intervention model. Using social media and cyberbullying education is also fundamental. There's also other types of resources which can be used, such as simulations and virtual reality. We've had some game development in our research center, and we've actually used these serious games. They're called serious games because they're done with a very specific objective of providing learning experiences, specific learning experiences to the users. They're not just play that have already been designed and we just happen to go get one and use it for some skill, to develop some skill. No, serious games, and they can be used with simulations and also virtual reality to engage professionals more and to get them to know and position themselves within their students' realm. And this also creates opportunities for further development of empathic reactions on the teacher's behalf when we are dealing with violence in schools, and specifically cyberbullying, since it's so distant sometimes because it's on screen, it's on the phone, it's not actually visible physically where I'm working in the school. And one important thing is that teachers should be involved in creating such programs that help reduce school violence. And so content development can also be taught to teachers, and they can also participate in designing prevention programs, intervention programs. So it's important that they can acquire and develop digital literacy. Eva?
Sí, simplemente quería complementar diciendo que en los programas de formación del profesorado tenemos que incluir distintos recursos, estrategias que permitan ir más allá de dar conocimiento, sino que también poder tomar decisiones ajustadas a las distintas situaciones. Y lógicamente, bueno, pues a través de los distintos recursos digitales, pues se nos abre también oportunidades que garantizan la transferencia en la formación del profesorado. Podemos pasar, si quieres, Paula, al siguiente, porque además vamos a un poquito ya mal de tiempo.
Okay. Do you want to start off this one?
Sí, otro de los aspectos claves que resultan fundamentales, que forman parte ya de las prácticas de la psicología educativa, es incorporar en el diseño de los programas a las personas que están involucradas, bien sean sobre todo además estudiantes, profesorado, escuelas, miembros de las administraciones, para que realmente permita diseñar programas que están contextualizados, que es una de las claves que nos permite esta co-creación, para que no sean programas externos que vienen o que dificultan esa contextualización que hablábamos al principio, y sobre todo para que garanticen el sostenimiento, la sostenibilidad de esos programas a lo largo del tiempo en los centros educativos. No sé si hay algo que quieras comentar, Paula.
No, it's just, I think you've said everything. It's a sense of empowering those that are involved, giving them a voice, that they are heard. They are being heard in terms of what their needs are in these contexts of violence in schools. So that's all I'd like to comment right there, because you said everything basically. Here, we also have another topic related to teachers as models of transfer into the classroom. Well, of course, teachers are models. They are not only the transmitters, but they model behavior, values, problem solving. And so having them know how to be socially and emotionally aware, and knowing how to regulate their emotions, and knowing how to regulate their behavior and resolve conflict through pro-sociality is very important, in a very important way to transfer this information to students. So having them know how to instruct their students and how to do this, and also model this type of behavior and type of visible reactions as to how to solve violence in schools through problem-solving skills and empathy is of extreme need and importance. And also teachers are models, especially because they are familiar with the context within which they are working in, and children are learning in. So they know exactly where they should start, you know. I know that there's a lot of violence in the school, or maybe there isn't. Students aren't familiar with it, or there is and it's hidden. So it's vital that teachers serve as models, because they know the culture of the school. So the school climate has a culture to it, and that is usually adopted by teachers in order to not only give classes, but also to model how pro-sociality can be involved in learning. And this is also interesting when you try to get professionals also to transfer this knowledge to colleagues, which is also very interesting, and to kind of like transmit as something that you can catch from someone else, like a cold, but in this sense it would be pro-sociality. Eva, do you want to add anything to this?
Sí, en realidad, bueno, pues estos son los temas, son muchas las ideas que hemos presentado, pero que hemos recopilado para poder debatir con vosotros sobre estos aspectos. Os dejamos, como la presentación se compartirá, pues os dejamos también la referencia al final en las que nos hemos basado de aspectos de revisiones, de metaanálisis, de nuestra propia reflexión conjunta que hemos hecho sobre nuestro trabajo de transferencia con la escuela y que esperamos que, bueno, que puedan generar, aparte de recopilar o de unir, nos puedan generar también ahora una bonita reflexión y un bonito debate sobre cualquiera de los aspectos en su conjunto que hemos ido viendo, ¿no? Y que esperamos, bueno, pues que nos haya permitido tener esa visión de conjunto sobre qué supone la transferencia para la formación del profesorado, para la prevención de la violencia, ¿no?
Yes, and here are some of the references. So thank you very much for your attention. And do I stop sharing now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Romera and Professor da Costa Ferreira.